Okay. Good afternoon or good morning, depending on what time you're listening to this training. My name is Jose Reese. I am the manager of the scrap tire inspection team. Consumer protection is actually the unit we belong to here in code compliance. Today, I am accompanied by the supervisor of code compliance.
Annika Lazarin.
Annika will be assisting me today in some of the presentation, including some of the question and answer sessions of the ordinance. Annika may also take over, so if you hear a different voice, you're still on the same recording. We just want to make it a little easier on your ears by changing between characters here in our department. As you can see on the screen, we are here for the scrap tire ordinance training 2023. The overview of what we're going to be discussing today is we're going to discuss the objective of the training, the background, kind of a little history of the STEP program, definitions, tire business license, and mobile tire repair requirements, the fees associated with the program, the issuance, display, and denial of a license. We're also going to talk about the revocation of that license and the expiration of the license. We'll also discuss the required training. The ordinance actually requires us to take this training. That's why we're here today. Scrap tire storage methods, tire identification. We're also going to discuss transporting scrap tires, the impoundment of vehicles by our law enforcement agency, the unauthorized disposal of tires, required inspections, the penalty of violating the city code. And we're also going to discuss Chapter 19, accumulation of tires. If you notice on this presentation overview, there are two chapters that we're going to be discussing today, which is Chapter 18 and Chapter 19. The section after each one, for example, in the definitions where it says Section 18-55, that's actually Chapter 18 of the City Code, Section 55. Each section in parentheses, we put it on there so that you can easily look at our city ordinance and be able to understand where we captured this portion of the ordinance and why we're summarizing that section instead of going verbatim based on the ordinance. At the end of the presentation, I will also do a brief overview on how you can navigate and get to the city ordinance on the City of Dallas webpage so that you can find these sections and these chapters a lot easier. Okay, the background and history. So just want to let you know that the ordinance was initially passed in January 1st of 2005, actually passed a little bit sooner than that, but it did not take effect in the city of Dallas until 2005. The city ordinance right now, currently, the newest version is 3233-4. It's included in chapter 18 under sections 1855 through 1866, and also under chapter 19-34-1 under the environmental code or environmental sanitation standards of the City of Dallas Code Compliance City Ordinance as well. As you can see, the reason for the ordinance is we want to prevent situations like you see on the screen. As you can see, we have a field of abandoned tires. We have trailers in the background with tires, scrap tires just sitting out. And also you can see it's about to rain, it's about to thunder. When we have tires outside, they can accumulate mosquitoes, rodents, and cause a health and safety hazards to the residents of the city of Dallas. While these pictures may show drastic situations, understand that an illegally disposed of or stored tire constitute a violation as well. The objective of the scrap tire enforcement program or what is normally referred to as by office and some of our citizens as STEP for short, STEP. Um, the program works to identify and register all tire businesses within the city of Dallas. So that's any brick and mortar location that's a tire business, but also is to enforce the requirements of mobile tire repair units. Your mobile tire repair units, we'll go into the definition a little bit later, but a mobile tire repair is basically a vehicle that goes out and repairs tires on the side of the road or at a temporary location on an emergency or as a standard operating procedures. A scrap tire transporter business, that's going to be your business that transports scrap tires. And we'll go over the definition of a scrap tire a little bit later as well. Our objective is to ensure tire businesses adhere to responsible business practices and are not in violation of any city codes related to the tire business ordinances. Which in this case, city ordinances would be chapter 18 and chapter 19. Specifically describing 18 and 19. At the end of the presentation, there'll be a short little quiz that you'll have to take and pass with the score at least of a 70. Don't worry. If you fail, you'll be given the opportunity to take it as many times as you can so that we can get at least a 70 to ensure that you understand what we were discussing today and ensure that you're familiar with our ordinances. At the end of the quiz, it'll give you the right answers so that you can understand what we are trying to get across to our citizens here in Dallas. The new changes or any future new changes to the ordinance will always be found under Chapter 18, Article 5, which is tires in AmericanLegal.com. So you can visit AmericanLegal.com and look up Dallas, the City of Dallas City Ordinances, and just go to Chapter 18, Article 5, tires. Again, at the end of the presentation, we will take a few minutes and walk you through our website so you can understand how to facilitate getting to the ordinance itself a lot easier. So we'll have a demonstration later on. The definitions, we're here to discuss the definitions. Some of these I'm going to read verbatim. Some of them I'm just going to summarize for you. That way I don't have you here longer than the 2 hours that are required. The director in our ordinance means the director of the department designated by the city manager to enforce and administer this article, and it includes the director's authorized representative. What does this mean to you? Anywhere in the ordinance where you say the director, the director, the director. Yes, our department is led by our director. During this time is our director, Chris Christian. However, our director won't be able to be at every inspection. What the ordinance actually wants to imply and get across is that this actually covers any employee, the director and the city manager has said, please go out there and enforce this code. In this case, it would be our code inspectors, along with our city marshals and the Dallas police if needed as well. A manifest, this definition may be new to some. Before, we required the transporters and the generators to have a manifest. And while we asked the tire businesses to keep a copy of the manifest, it was originally not mandatory for the tire businesses, but it is now with the new changes to the ordinance. The manifest means a tracking mechanism to monitor the transfer of tires from the point of generation to the end use or final destination, such as a tire storage site, a scrap tire facility, a permanent landfill, or a land reclamation project using tires. The manifest is a 5-part form whose format and content is prescribed by the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. So if you visit TCAQ, they have their standard manifest that can be used. The manifest is usually signed by, in this case, I'm gonna use the example of a tire shop. When a tire shop hands a set number of tires to the transporter should be providing you with a manifest how many tires they picked up from your location. That transporter will then transport those tires to the tire storage site, the scrap tire facility, the permanent landfill or reclamation location, or the final destination. Once they make it to the final destination, the receiving party should sign that manifest indicating that the tires made it to the final destination. This transporter then should provide the tire business, the tire shop, a copy of the final manifest. Said final twice because we want to make sure that you have the final manifest so you can ensure that your tires made it to the final destination. And we'll talk a little bit more about manifests later in the presentation. A mobile tire repair business means a business that repair tires at any temporary location, included but not limited to a roadway, alley, parking lot, or residence. This term does not include a business that only changes out or replaces tires, but does not make any repairs to a tire. I want you to pay close attention to that because there are some towing services out there that go out there, and if you have a spare tire, they just take your flat tire off and put your spare or your extra tire on the vehicle. They are not required to register. However, if you have a business that goes out there, oh, I can patch that up, I can place a plug on that tire, or let me take that tire back to the shop, repair it, give you a new tire, load it up to the, replace it on the rim, then you're a mobile tire business and you would have to register with the city of Dallas. A mobile tire repair unit means any vehicle used in a mobile tire repair business. So basically, the vehicle that you're using to transport those tires, or the vehicle that you're using basically to go out and make the repairs. So you would have to register that vehicle. And again, we'll discuss a little bit more in detail later on. I just want you to understand the difference between the actual unit and the business itself. Scrap tire, this is the most important definition, or one of the most important definitions here, is scrap tire is identified as a whole tire or any portion of the tire that can no longer be used for its original intended purpose or is being held, transported, or processed for disposal or recycling. The key word here means that that it can no longer be used for its original intended purposes. Again, I'll stop here to give you an example of a scrap tire. If you're a business, you're my tire expert. You're out there, you're in the business of replacing tires. If you get a customer come in and says, "Okay, can you check my tires?" and you tell them, "Yeah, two of your tires are bad, or all four tires are bad. They're no good anymore. You need new tires." Then the minute you replace those tires, because you as the expert have said they're not good, that tire would be considered a scrap tire. If the scrap tire has holes that are not repairable, or it cannot be used on the roadways anymore on a vehicle, then that is considered a scrap tire. If the tire is a used tire, that means it's used and we can still use it. It can be placed on another vehicle. It still has life on it. It'll be safe to be on the roadways. Then that's not considered a scrap tire. It's considered a used tire. And of course, then the other type of tire we have is a new tire. A new tire that can still be used, it's still considered a new tire. However, if you decide that used tire or that new tire is not going to be sellable from your business, or you don't need it and you got to get rid of it and dispose of it, the minute you decide that that tire needs to be disposed of, it's considered a scrap tire because it's not going to be used anymore for its original intent. Definitions. Many of our businesses here today are tire repair businesses, are tire shops. But I want to bring your attention to a scrap tire generator. Means a fleet operator, an automotive dismantler, sorry, or a retailer, wholesaler, manufacturer, recapper, or retreader of new or used tires. This is anybody that takes a scrap tire and decides that we can make repairs to it, or we have to dismantle it, or we can repurpose it, recap it. Then they're considered scrap tire generators. What I'm going to use as an example, not that the city's playing favoritisms, it's just these are the most common scrap tire generators that we are aware of because many of our tire businesses in the city of Dallas have told us, which is 360, All American, and Liberty are the most common ones in the city of Dallas because not only do some of them retread used tires, they recycle them, they dismantle, they destroy them, they do different things with these tires. But that is your final generator. Please place close attention to that generator, scrap tire generator, because later on in the ordinance you'll see that again. A scrap tire transporter means any business or person who transports more than 6 scrap tires at any one time or is loading or unloading scrap tires to and from any location within the city. This is scrap tires. Remember, a scrap tire is different than a new or used tire unless you decide that used tire or new tire are not going to be used for its intended purpose. What does this mean for me or for you guys as the tire business? Is that if you decide, hey, I need to get rid of these tires, I'm going to take them myself, and it's 6 or more tires, you need to register with the city of Dallas as a transporter. I have a lot of business owners who are fortunate to have more than one tire shop. So they have one of our generators go out and pick them up at one location. So what I may do as an example is I have shop A that's 5 blocks down the road and shop B is here. So shop B, I have 20 tires, scrap tires, they're no longer good. And I have Liberty going at lot A to pick them up. So I decide to load my 20 tires and take them over to my shop in lot A. Well, if I'm going to lot A and I'm transporting those scrap tires, then I need to make sure that not only am I providing a manifest as a transporter now, but that I'm registered with the city as a transporter because now that you're on the city roadways, you are considered a scrap tire transporter. Okay. Tire business means any business or establishment where used tires are collected, repaired, processed, recycled, scrapped, sold, bought, or stored, including but not limited to a mobile tire repair business and a salvage yard. So it's not limited to a mobile tire shop. So I want you to pay close attention to the word and a salvage yard. So any business pretty much that collects used tires or repairs them or processes them or recycles or sells them or stores them, you're considered a tire business. Okay. Because we do have a lot of salvage yards in the city of Dallas that say we're not a tire business, we're a salvage yard. Or I'm a motor vehicle repair business. I have nothing to do with tires, but if you're collecting them, repairing them, or you're processing or recycling them, or you're selling or doing anything associated with that scrap tire or that tire, you're considered a tire business. A tire recycling facility means a state registered facility that processes, recycles, or conducts energy recovery with scrap tires. Kind of the 3 examples I gave earlier that are more common in the city of Dallas that are used by our shops in the city of Dallas. That would be Liberty, 360, and All American, similar to those. A vehicle means any motorized vehicle and non-motorized trailer that is or may be attached to a motorized vehicle. If a trailer is attached to a motorized vehicle, both the trailer and the motorized vehicle will be considered as one vehicle. We say that because a lot of people say your ordinance only states that my truck has to be registered because that's a vehicle. The trailer that I hook up to it, whether it's an open air trailer or an enclosed trailer, it doesn't matter the size. I get the argument that that's not a vehicle, but based on our ordinance definition, it is considered a vehicle if you're storing or transporting scrap tires in it. Okay. Here we're going to get to little questions and answers. What we're going to do is we're going to share some of the common questions that we get for this. Normally, the common question, like I talked about earlier, was the director. The director really means any one of us, any pretty much any city official. In our case, is going to be the code compliance department, personnel with the fire marshal's office, law enforcement within the city. It also includes our environmental inspectors that we have out there, our water inspectors, because they'll go out there and conduct inspections at sites. Um, Again, a lot of the questions we get here is, Jose, can you go in depth more of who a scrap tire is? We'll go more in depth into it shortly. What a transporter is, and we'll cover that here shortly as well. We are also asked repeatedly, Jose, what's a used, new, and a scrap tire? We get asked that question repeatedly. So I will take that time also to kind of give you the definitions again. A scrap tire is a tire that's no longer usable for an intended use, pretty much. A used tire is a tire that can still be used on a vehicle, a trailer, a motorcycle, um, and it still has life to it in its intended use. A new tire, again, it's a new tire. There's nothing wrong with it, it's good. But even a new and a used tire sometimes can be considered scrap tires if you decide that that tire no longer has life and we need to dispose of it. Keep in mind the expiration dates of a tire. That expiration date on a tire usually says when it's been determined that that tire has no more life to it as well. Again, at the end of the presentation, we will provide you with a phone number that you can also call us to ask us any questions you may have. Also, if you visit our website at dallascityhall.com, you have a phone number to our office as well as our email addresses, which I will share with you at the end of the presentation as well. Here, we're going to begin to discuss a tire business and a mobile repair unit under section or chapter 18-56. This is where it kind of goes into what a tire business license and a mobile tire repair unit permit is and who has to have one, right? So basically, any tire business license and a mobile tire repair unit must have a valid tire business license, must have a decal for the mobile tire repair. So if you're a brick and mortar location, we will issue you a license. If you're a mobile tire repair unit, we will issue you a decal that is placed on the vehicle. Again, the vehicle, per the definition, is the trailer or the actual motorized vehicle that you're using to transport the tires. We may all that you're using to go out and make the repairs to the tires. We'll put a decal on it. Each vehicle needs its own separate decal. A tire business license and mobile tire repair unit requirements. Here are your requirements if you want to get a license for your tire shop or your mobile tire repair unit, right? Or your salvage yard that's generating these tires, because as we discussed earlier, anyone that stores, keeps, repairs, sells tires is considered tire business license under this ordinance. When you submit an application, you must submit as a completed application. You'll notice that our applications, whether it's in person around when you fill it out, like most of you do, we have to have every section of the license completed correctly and accurately. We're also going to need a copy of your certificate of occupancy. Um, that certificate of occupancy is the license that the Department of Sustainable Development or Building Inspections issue saying you're allowed to operate as a business that can generate, store, or keep tires at the location. We're also going to need for your tire business license, your brick and mortar location, we can need some form of identification. It could be a driver's license, it could be an ID, it could be a passport. If you have a government ID from another government agency, the most common here is a matricula or an ID from, like I said, other countries. We'll take an ID from Mexico. We'll take an ID from Spain, from England. As long as you have some kind of government ID, we would take it for your entire business license. However, if you're operating a mobile tire repair unit, that means you're driving that vehicle, then we need a driver's license for that vehicle, because again, even though we're just the licensing department for the licenses, for the tire repair units, I cannot give you permission to drive a vehicle. I'm not authorized to give you permission or a license to drive a vehicle on the roadway. And if we give you your decal, we don't want you to say, well, the city's letting us drive this vehicle, so we do need a driver's license. Also, for your mobile tire repair unit, we need proof of insurance, that that vehicle has insurance. I don't need that information for your brick and mortar location. I only need proof of insurance for your mobile tire repair unit. In addition, a separate application is required for each location and each mobile tire repair unit. So that means if I have a brick and mortar location that I'm doing this, my brick and mortar location needs a permit or a license. If I have 3 vehicles that go out there and do mobile tire repair, that means each vehicle needs to submit its own application as well. Or the business needs to submit an application for each separate vehicle. Okay, license and permit fees. As of October of this year, we have adopted, or our city council has adopted new fees for the city of Dallas throughout different licensing and permitted fees. So it's not only affects us here with the tire businesses, but it affects other businesses that have to pay fees as well. So you're not being singled out. The annual fee for a tire business license is 163. The annual fee for each mobile tire repair unit is 163. Should you have the unfortunate incident of losing or having your license or decal stolen and mutilated, and you need an additional one or a copy of it, we will be more than happy to provide you with one, but there is a fee of $39. Now, as long as it's still current. Now, what does this mean? Guys, look at it from a perspective. A couple of years ago, the license was $300. Then it dropped to $57, $58. Now it's getting up to 163, right? And it's just the cost of doing business. The city doesn't make a profit from this, and the city is just trying to recoup some, keyword some, of the cost associated with the work that we have to do to make sure our businesses are inspected and licensed throughout the city of Dallas. The applicant should pay for all required fees before a license permit will be issued. So you have to submit your application and pay the fee so we can issue you the license. Now, all fees are not refundable and not transferable. That means once you pay for that fee and something was found wrong on your application or something, we would not offer you a refund. You may have to submit a new application. Of course, it's on a case-by-case basis. If it's just typo, we'll help you fix that typo so you can get your license. But here's the example that normally happens. I'm going to use me and Annika as an example. Let's say Annika owns Annika's tire shop. So Annika has all her permits, but then he sells the business to me. So now I'm Jose, I'm the owner, but I decide to keep the name as Annika's tire shop. But I never go and update Annika's the certificate of occupancy with building inspections to reflect me as the new owner and keeping the name the same. If I submit that certificate of occupancy and it's not up to date and current, because Annika has nothing to do with the business anymore, but it still lists her as the owner, and we find out, we will deny that application and we will ask you to get your certificate of occupancy updated and reapply, thus paying an additional 163 for your new application. So I want to make sure we guys understand that as well. Make sure all your documentation is in order. In addition, let's say I have a business at, uh, at location B and I'm doing really good, but I find location A is a more, location more friendly to my business, right? It's closer to the main roadway and the rent's a lot cheaper. So I'd say, you know what? I'm gonna relocate to location A. You cannot take your licenses to location A and start off business right away. You'll have to reapply for a new certificate of occupancy for location A, and you'll have to submit an application for a license for the scrap tire permit or the step permit, like we call it here. Okay. The issuance, display, and denial of a license is covered under Chapter 18, Section 58. Issuance and display of license and permit. A license must be displayed and presented upon request. What does this mean? What it means is just like your certificate of occupancy. When myself or any inspector or any citizen in the city of Dallas walks into your business establishment, they should be able to look to the right, to the left, up front, or the back, and see on the wall, either on the wall, on a bulletin board somewhere, a copy of your certificate of occupancy posted along with your required license to be posted. And any other license the city or the state may require to have posted. We need to be able to go in there and see that you have those posted. Not having them posted can also lead to a code violation. So please make sure you do that. Now, I understand many businesses want to keep it in a drawer or in another location where it's safe and secure. Make a copy of it and store a copy and just keep the original up at your place of business, or place a copy and keep the original somewhere else. But we need to make sure that it's displayed at the location. A tire business must keep a manifest for 3 years. This is a new requirement. Now a tire business must keep the manifest. I talked earlier about once you give your tires to the transporter or they make it as a final destination, you're gonna have that final manifest. You gotta keep it for 3 years. But Jose, this is a new requirement. Do I need to have it for 2021 or 2022? The answer to that question is no, because the requirement became effective early this year. So I'm just gonna ask you, can I see your manifest from December? I'm gonna go as back as December 2023 to request those manifests. And also, in order for us to, if you have the license or permit, you're also required to use a licensed transporter. So when you submit your application and we will ask who the licensed transporter is, or when we show up, we'll ask you to a licensed transporter. If you are using the licensed transporter, it's good. If you're not, then you're committing a code violation. Okay. Denial of a license and or a permit. And the reason why we say it this way, just a little housekeeping, is some people like to refer it as a license, some people refer it as a permit, some people refer it as a decal. It's actually all three things. If we will deny your application, like I mentioned earlier, if you fail to completely fill it out, or provide false information. If you provide false information, we would more than likely deny it immediately. However, if you don't fill it out completely, or you committed a typo, we will communicate with you. We will let you know and give you an opportunity to get that fixed. Normally, we want you to get us the corrected information within 24 to 48 hours after we let you know. The reason being, because we want to process all applications and licenses within 3 business days. So we'll reach out to you with that for that missing information. Okay, now we can also deny your license, and let's say in the last 12 months your license was revoked. And we'll talk about the revocation process here shortly. So if your license was revoked anytime in the last 12 months, we will deny you a license, permit, or a decal this year or that year. Okay. If you fail to complete the required by section 1861.1, ladies and gentlemen, that's why we're here today. We are here today conducting this training because under the city ordinance, we are required to take this training before we submit a new application or before we submit a renewal. It also, later on, we'll also discuss a little bit further because it also requires some of your employees to take the training as well. And we'll go more in detail here shortly. Okay. License revocation and expiration. If you notice here, we left a typo on it where it says expiration. I purposely did that so that kind of as a reminder to let you know that we make typos, so we understand when you submit an application and you have a typo, we will give you the opportunity to get that corrected. We're not going to deny you or revoke you just because you committed a typo, right? We will work with you. Okay. So the revocation of a license, your license may be revoked for refusal to allow any agent of the city entry into an inspection of the tire business or mobile tire repair unit. That means if you don't allow us to enter your location or conduct an inspection, we can revoke your license. But it says any agent. Remember that agent we talked about earlier, one of the city's law enforcement agencies? It also includes the City of Dallas Code Compliance, the Fire Department, Water Department, or even our environmental inspectors. Okay. Why is this so important? Why do I have it highlighted? Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what's happened in the last year or so, but many of our inspectors, when they show up, the business is open, but as soon as they see the vehicle pull up front, and when I mean up front, I don't mean in the driveway or in the parking lot, because most of the time the parking lot is full of vehicles or auto parts or stuff that shouldn't be there. So we have to we probably have to park across the street and either the street or somebody else's business parking lot. And by the time we get to the gate, someone closed and locked the gate, or someone closes and locks the door. So that counts as refusal to conduct the inspection because they saw us, they know we're there, and they lock the door. And we're only there to deliver your license and conduct that inspection for that license. What we normally do is we'll call you by phone to the person who applied and let you know, hey, we're here to deliver your license. Can you please ask somebody to let me in so we can do the inspection? If it doesn't happen, we'll count that as a refusal to allow us to do the inspection. However, depending on the circumstances, we may tell you, okay, we'll come back sometime in the next couple of days. If we're denied another inspection, then we'll revoke the license we were about to issue. And remember, if we revoke that license, you will not be able to get a license for 12 months. Thus, you're operating a business without a license, which is a violation of city ordinance, and you will be dealt accordingly. Also, we can revoke your license if you've been convicted twice within a 24 month period of any city ordinance or state or federal law. Here you see we gave some examples of solid waste, litter, dumping, tires, vehicles, motor vehicles, environmental concerns. Basically, the city of Dallas has a lot of city ordinances as well as the state and the law, right? If we find out the state is addressing some state violations or federal laws, then we can revoke your license for that. If you violate the city ordinance, we can do that as well. Now I'm going to pause here to kind of deviate a little bit from the presentation to kind of give you the most common issue that we find at the location. Most of the time we find a lot of trash and we find the weeds are high. And because sometimes you have a little parkway area up front and the grass is going high. But the main violation we always find in many of our tire locations is that you have a certificate of occupancy for an auto service center, which means per our building inspections, you can change tires, you could wash a car, you change brakes, change the oil, change windshield wipers. You can do the maintenance on a vehicle pretty much. But normally when we go out there, we see that there's a lot of cars parked outside that are not working with expired tags, expired registrations. We see vehicle parts laying outside in the front or in the back because we're repairing engines, motors, and stuff beyond the scope of that certificate of occupancy. There are three types of certificate of occupancy you can get. One is the vehicle auto service center. Another one engine repair or maintenance. The other one is vehicle sales, display, and service. And each of them has its own requirements of what you can and cannot do. So I would encourage you all to get with the Department of Building Inspections or visit this Dallas City Hall and the city ordinance and see what type of certificate of occupancy you have and look up what you can and cannot do. It is your responsibility to know, understand and know what type of business you can run and within the parameters you must be running that business. Comply with city code. Okay, we can also revoke your license. Now back on track. We can also if you violate any provision of this article or section 19. So if you're violating chapter 18, article 5 of tires, or chapter 19, you're in violation, and we can revoke your license. Does not complete the training required by section 18. So the training is not completed, we can revoke your license. I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. You notice where it says convicted twice within a 24-month period of any city ordinance or state law? That's anything else, or solid waste, all the other stuff. But you don't have to violate the provisions of chapter 18 or chapter 19 more than twice. Just if you're violating it, period, we can revoke your license, right? So be mindful of that. And we give you twice for other stuff, but for violations of chapter 18 and 19, any violation can lead to a revocation. Again, we'll do one case by case basis. And again, if you don't complete the training as required, and we'll discuss the training here shortly as well. Expiration. When does my license expire? The license expires 1 year from the date of you submitting your application. So when you submit your application, your license expires 1 year after that. You must renew your license 30 days before the expiration of the license, because if your license expires and we show up the day after your license expires and you haven't renewed, technically we could issue you a citation because you no longer have a license to operate. Why do we say you must renew 30 days before? It's because our goals that's been set to us is that we have 30 days from the minute you apply for us to review the application, ensure that everything you submitted get back to you, tell us what we need from you, and we have to process it, get it done, go out there, deliver it, and do the inspection. Now, us internally, we want to be able to deliver that license to you internally within 10 business days from the day it's approved. So internally, our inspectors want to be there within 10 days. Okay. Now, it works a little different for mobile tire repair units. So if you have a mobile tire repair permit, or a decal, usually that decal is good for the entire month. So if you apply November 1st, that one will expire at the end of November the next year. However, if you wait till November 29th of this year to apply, it's still going to expire November 30th of next year. So I don't know about you guys, but I'd probably get that acclamation the first of the year to give me a little bit more time to renew and not be expired, right? And again, we have 30 days to get out there to you, but I can let you know that we try to get out there in 10 business days. So if we don't get out there with your license within 10 business days, please call us and ask us, Jose, Anika, where's my license? We will find out for you. Sometimes what happens is we deny the license or revoke the license because we've been to the location 2 or 3 times and nobody let us in. So it may be in our file saying it's revoked, and we sent you a letter telling you it was revoked. You just may not have gotten that letter yet. Okay, I'm going to pause here for some questions. So we're going to go over some commonly asked questions again that happens. Some of the commonly asked questions are, Jose, are you going to revoke my permit right away? The answer to that question is, the city has processes for everything. So we do have a process for revocation. What we do is we try to work with the business owners to make sure they come into compliance. Why do you do that, Jose? Well, the reason we do that is because we want every business in the city of Dallas to be successful. We want every business in the city of Dallas to provide a good service to the citizens of Dallas. And your tire business is needed in the city of Dallas. Many times I have found myself going to work and I get a flat tire, and I'm wishing there was a tire business right in front of me so I can have it changed quickly, but it doesn't always work out that way. So you provide an essential service to the citizens of Dallas. We just want you to follow the ordinances, follow the regulations, and keep it in a good presentable way. So we will try to work with you before we take the drastic measures of revoking your permit. Jose, but what about the denial of the permit? We will also communicate with you before we deny that permit. We will let you know why we're denying it. We will try to work to prevent from denying it if it's within our guidelines. But again, if the information is not correct and the required information cannot be obtained quickly, then we might have to deny you, or we will deny you until you're able to get your affairs in order. So we would do that. That also includes the same thing for the mobile repair units. If you cannot provide me with current insurance or a driver's license, because it's gonna be, hey, my license expired and I have 30 days, the DPS has 30-day wait line or 6 weeks wait line for me to get in there to renew. And I'm sorry, but we're not gonna be able to offer you that license. We're gonna have to deny it until we have up-to-date and accurate information as well. And then remember, when you submit an application with payment, there are no refunds. If there's something wrong with the application and we're not able to work with you on that application. Again, I want to echo that we want you to be successful in the city house and we'll work with you. We will work with you as much as we can while we are equitable and we follow our own ethics here in the city of Dallas. And we strive to provide you with excellence as well when doing this. We're going to continue on. If you remember earlier, I said there was required training, and I go a little bit more in detail. Well, this is the city ordinance. So a lot of people will say, Jose, why are we doing this? Well, if you recall, late last year, early in the year, we kind of reached out to a lot of tire businesses, to almost all of you guys, and we said, hey, join us for a listening session and an informational session. We want to let you know what the proposed new requirements to the ordinance are. We want to hear from you. We want to know how this is going to impact you. Do you understand this? Do you guys have recommendations, right? And so out of those recommendations came a lot of things. The 2-hour training, originally, we wanted to do it a little bit more often. I suggested shorter time, but at the end of the day, the compromise was that we must complete a 2-hour training prior to initial registration annually and thereafter prior to renewal. So you have to complete a 2-hour training prior to submitting the registration and prior to submitting the renewal. And you said, Jose, that's 2 hours every year? Yes, it is. But look at the bright side, guys, for you guys. I sometimes have to give the 2-hour training. This and just in me preparing this presentation to you, this is number 7 for me in the last 2 weeks. So I've given this presentation 7 times, so I've had to be here at least 14 hours, if not longer, for preparation. So we're only asking you for 2 hours. You only have to put up with me or Annika for 2 hours a year. And usually my recommendation is you take it prior to conducting that inspection. I'm sorry, prior to submitting that application. Who is required to take the training? So this informational session is also for owners, but really who's required? All new authorized agents shall complete the required training within 30 days of joining the establishment. If the training is not completed within 30 days, the tire business license is subject to revocation pursuant to section 1859. What does that mean, Jose? Well, for the purpose of this section, an authorized agent is the manager, the supervisor, or person in control of the tire business or mobile tire repair unit. That means who's ever in charge. That means the driver of each unit. So let's say I'm there at the shop and I leave the shop for lunch. Does that mean somebody there has to do it? No, sir, you went for lunch. We understand. I want to go pick up some tires at the warehouse. I had to buy the new tires, so I had to leave for an hour or two. Does that mean somebody else has to? No, sir. What it means is if you have a manager at the location or a supervisor, or if you're gone for half the day and you have to leave Annika in charge, then Annika needs to take that training as well. We need to have your managers and supervisors and persons in charge or in control take the training because we want you to be aware of what is required by our city ordinance. Our trainings will also let you know as they change and shift in a little additional information, what we're seeing out there, what the problems are that we're seeing out there. Um, we will also get feedback from you at the end of our presentations to hear from you what you want to learn more about, what you want to the problems that you're seeing out there, right? What can the city do better? So we'll also give you an opportunity to voice that to us. If you want to know when we're gonna have more training dates. I'm gonna show you at the end what our website should be looking like in the future. So on our DallasCityHall.com code compliance consumer protection page, we'll have a list of uptraining dates. So you might have a day where you can either log in on Teams or Zoom to take the training, or we may have an in-person training somewhere. That'll be updated. However, we also look to put in this training here. Some of you may be watching this training because it's been posted online so that you can take it at your own time frame. So you may take 5 minutes today, 5 minutes later today, 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there. The key is to get it done right before I need to register. Remember, you're supposed to renew 30 days prior. So we want to see that you take in that class within those 30 days of renewal. If you're a new applicant, we want to see that you took this class so that you can get credit for it. Jose, how would I get credit for this training? We will set up the training so that you can print a certificate at the end. If a certificate is not printed at the end, we'll ask you for your email and contact information. And we usually will email you that certificate within 3 business days. Okay, we're going to discuss scrap tire storage methods. If you notice, the yellow is the new requirement. What is not in yellow has been a requirement for many years. And here, some of the old requirements, I have to admit, we've been in violation of. We don't follow the ordinance exactly how it's written. So why is that, Jose? Well, the tire business has to store the tires under a roof structure. So a lot of businesses, what they do, they get a little rack, they put a little roof over the rack, and all the tires are there. Some of them do like a carport and put all the tires underneath there, and that's where all the tires are. However, the ordinance also requires that all used tires, remember here's the word used, and scrap tires must be stored in a manner which prevents exposure to natural elements. That means your tires cannot be exposed to the natural elements. Okay, which means when it rains and the wind's blowing, if I only have a roof, will water land in those tires? Will dust and dirt land in those tires? Will rubbish land in those tires? What other materials land in those tires? Jose, well, why are we saying this? Well, you look at the next one, it's because that leads to mosquito breeding and rodent habitation. Now, a lot of times where there's rodents, there may be snakes. But mainly is the mosquito and the rodent. As you know, they carry diseases. So we got to make sure we control mosquito breeding. And also, it's a code violation to have a lot of litter and trash on our property and not keep it clean. So you not only would be violating chapter 18, but you also may be violating other city ordinance. Okay. Now, the new requirement states that used tires and scrap tire pieces stored side might be screened from public view, a new requirement. That means we cannot have all our tires outside where everybody can see our tires. Or we cannot have them in the back of the lot with just a chain link fence. They have to be screened from public view. Keyword is screen. That doesn't mean I put a tarp over it and I'm good, because a tarp can still hold water for mosquito breeding. Jose, so can I just go ahead and put a new fence up or a new shed up or a shed up, or can I go ahead and bring a storage container and just store my tires on it? The answer to the question, it depends. You would have to contact building inspections, the same people who issued you your certificate of occupancy, to ensure that what you're planning on adding to your business or erecting at your business is within the parameters of city code. Make sure it's up to code. Make sure you don't need a permit for it. Be honest with them, let them know how tall it's going to be, how wide it's going to be, where it's going to be, so they can guide you if you're going to need a permit or not. Because if you erect it and you needed a permit, then you just committed another code violation. And again, if you've been convicted of two, or you've been found guilty, or you admit to two violations in a 24-month period, we can revoke your license for a year. And again, we don't want to revoke license. You guys are essential commodity to the citizens of Dallas, and we want you to be in business. We want you to be here for us. And tires must be secured to prevent unauthorized removal from tires. That means you have to secure them. Many a times I go by a business, so sometimes I do work nights. I do have some inspectors that work nights, and we'll have a team that'll be out at night. But when I'm at night, and when I mean by night, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, when I'm on about, I see the business is closed and the tires are stacked up on side of the business, or they left their display of tires outside the business. And when I go, no, Jose, we pull them up. We take them inside every day. Um, that was an offshoot. So I go out again, and there they are again multiple times. That's why the ordinance exists, so we can make sure we're always in compliance. I've been out and they say, Jose, we only put them out because we need space to work, and it's raining, and those new and used tires are getting water in them. So now you're violating the code. Sometimes I go out there and said, Jose, well, the transporter was supposed to come overnight to pick them up. Well, sometimes what I've noticed is there goes an unsheltered individual or somebody roaming to the tires to see if they can find a half decent one they think they can put on their vehicle to keep going, when in reality it could be a hazard because it's a scrap tire, and they end up down the road or across the street somewhere illegally dumped. So now you're contributing to the illegal dumping because you're not having them secured. And tires must be stored in compliance with the Dallas Fire Code. Many of us get inspections conducted by the fire department, so we got to make sure we store them according to Dallas Fire Code as well. Continuation of storage methods. Tire stores in violation of this section will be deemed a public nuisance, subject to abatement at the expense of the premise owner. But what does this mean, Jose? What this means is if we go out to your business location and you have tires that in violation, that are stored in violation of the ordinance, chapter 18, that means us as an inspectors and the city can actually go on to the property and remove and clean the property up. In doing so, the city will bill the property owner and maybe the business owner, but normally we go after the property owner, and they'll get a bill for the services that are rendered. Because the city is not here to make a profit. The city is there to recoup the cost of the taxpayers in the city of Dallas. Normally, you will be charged for the number of staff members that it takes to remove it, the disposal fees, the transportation fees, the man hours, gas, whatever it takes to get that job done. A bill will be sent to recoup the costs. I want to make everybody aware that we have the authority to do that based on the ordinance. Okay? Tires must be stored at each facility in accordance with all local, state, and federal laws and regulations. That means you got to follow TCEQ laws along with any federal law to store the tires to avoid that destination of a public nuisance. Okay. Again, Jose, that means you're going to come out and get every tire every single time? No. What that means is if you're in violation, we will have to not only let you know and work with you. And what I mean by work with you is our standard procedures, we normally give you a notice of violation once a year for the same violation. If you correct it, great, wonderful. If you don't, we issue a citation. Normally, we issue 2 citations before we begin revocation process and trying to get them deemed a public nuisance so we can be removed. Every case is a case by case basis, depending on the severity. Of course, 1 tire versus 1,000 tires, different aspects, and will be handled differently, but according to the city ordinance. A scrap tire generator. So remember the keyword scrap tire generators. These are the people who store more than 500 scrap tires on the ground or more than 2,000 scrap tires in enclosed and lockable containers must obtain a scrap tire storage registration from the state of Texas. So pretty much, guys, if you're generating 500 scrap tires and they're on the ground, or you're generating 2,000 scrap tires and you're keeping them in trailers, then you're a scrap tire generator. You're no longer a tire shop. And if you're a scrap tire generator, you have to get a permit from the state. So if we find you to be in violation, we'll let the state know, but we will also issue you probably an illegal land use citation because now you're not a tire shop anymore. You're a generator, and you'll be in violation of this code. Okay, here we're going to talk about tire identification. Some of the photos that you hear are because it's a new requirement and we heard you. Originally, we wanted you to mark every tire within the hour of you removing the tires. But those learning sessions that we had early on in the year, and late last year, we heard from you guys and you said, Jose, we need more than 1 hour. Because sometimes we're so busy, we can't keep up. It'll be hard. It'll be detrimental to our business. So we came with the consensus to give you 1 business day of receipt of the tire. The tire business who first receives the scrap tire must mark it with the assigned business license number. So whoever receives that tire first, that doesn't mean Liberty or the transporter need to mark the tires. Depends on who receives that tire. So if you're the tire shop and you're repairing my tire and you say, that tire is no good, Jose, I need to keep it because it's not good. It's a scrap tire. You need a new tire. You have to mark that tire within 1 business day. According to the code, what is acceptable? It has to be at least 1 inch in height, not half an inch, not 2 inches, but at least a half an inch. Now, I'm sorry, at least 1 inch, at least 1 inch. Now, if you make it 2 inches, I'm happy. If you make it 3 inches, I'm happy. If you make it 4 inches, I'm happy. But it has to be at least 1 inch in height. Okay. It must be of contrasting color and be located at least on one side of the tire. So I don't need it to be on both sides of the tires. I just need it on one side of the tire. Notice it doesn't say on the thread. It just says on one side of the tire. Now, here on these pictures, you'll see some examples of a solid marker. Where did I find this solid marker? Where I went out to some tire shops. And the tire shops I found were using this type of marker called solid marker. It's just an example. I am not promoting solid marker as the one you need to use. It's just a permanent marker. In this case, they were using this purple one. I found some were using yellow. Someone even had a pink color that they were using to mark the tires. And so the people is, what am I supposed to mark it with? You're supposed to mark it with your license number. Okay, every time we issue you a license, your your license will have a number on it. It'll show a license number. Um, the number should stay the same year after year after year. You have your license number. If we run into issues with that, you may contact us, and we may generate you a new license number. Additionally, we are going to be going to an online registration system, so that number may or may not change in year 1 or year 2, but we will let you know. Um, the method that I'm using, it doesn't matter because anybody can just write a new number with the marker. What you see there to the bottom right is something that I've seen businesses use. something similar to this device. It's a tire brander. All they do is they put the number on the license number on the brander, and they plug it in, and they just brand the tire with it. It's a little bit more permanent than the permanent marker. And they say, Jose, but when we do it, it's just one color. It's still black. Yes, but then all they're doing is they're either circling it with the marker, or they run a line through it or a line underneath to show where the number is, right? So that would be acceptable too if you want to use the brander. It actually works a little bit better because we can see the permanent marking on that tire. So again, any of these two would be sufficient. Okay. And again, it's a new requirement. And it has to be done within 1 business day of receipt of that tire. Okay. Transporting scrap tires. You notice here, we're also going to have some new stuff highlighted in yellow, which are the new requirements. So a scrap tire transporter, that means anyone who transports a scrap tire, they must be licensed to and get a decal. So they must display the valid transport decal on the vehicle. It has to be on the trailer, if they attach a trailer, or on the truck. In other words, if I put it on the trailer, we need the information of the trailer. So you have it on the trailer, your trailer breaks down, you can't just get another trailer and put it on it. Same thing with the truck. Okay. You have to maintain for inspection anytime a current manifest as required by the state health and safety code. So we give you that. It's the manifest we discussed earlier. So in reality, our transporters are the key persons in that manifest because they must generate the manifest when they pick up the tires. So they have to get the tire shop to sign off on how many tires they picked up. They also have to make sure that they sign the manifest so they can give it to the tire shop saying they only gave me 50 tires. Then when you deliver the tires to Liberty, again, no, and I'm not playing favoritism. Liberty is just one of the most common ones a lot of you guys use. So when they take them to Liberty, somebody at Liberty must sign that manifest saying they received those 50 tires. If Liberty only says they received 20, then the tire business should be asking what happened to the other 30 tires, because we want to make sure they ended up at the landfill, not in a city park, the Trinity River, or any private abandoned or public property just illegally dumped. Okay. The transporter must also ensure that the tires are properly marked. So if I'm picking up tires from Anika's shop and her license number is 1120, that means every tire that I'm picking up from Annika to dispose of better have the number 1120 on it. If it's not, I cannot take the tire. Okay. So a lot of people all say, Jose, well, how do we know if they're a licensed transporter? Well, the way you know will be with the magnet on top of, or the decal on the back of the vehicle. Again, a decal on the back of the vehicle, or by the next example, they must display the decal owner's name, phone number, and decal number on both sides of each vehicle. Okay, decal number, it's actually going to be the license number. So we'll give you the license number. So if you're a transporter, you'll get a decal number, and we'll also give you your license number. So your license number must be on both sides of the vehicle. Kind of like the tow truck companies. You ever see a tow truck company? They have the name of the tow truck company and the state license number. So it's going to mimic that. The requirements is that the letters must be permanently affixed to the vehicle, be a contrasting color, and be at least 2 inches in height. So those are the ones that have to be 2 inches in height and must be a contrasting color. Jose, why is that? Well, guys, the other day I was driving down the road and I saw a black truck and they had black lettering on it for a business. I couldn't tell what it was from a distance because it blends in. So we want to be able to see you from far away. Why is that? Because you're transporting tires. So our law enforcement agencies may be driving and they may see that, so they may be pulling you over, or if they can see that and they can see everything's okay, they may just let you go about your way. So it would be a great way to identify yourself, not only for us, but for the tire businesses, but also for law enforcement agencies. Also, the decal, which is really the license number, must be preceded by the letter CODL, which is City of Dallas license. So it should be CODL and then the number, 1120, that's your license number. Unfortunately, magnet lettering is not considered permanently affixed. That means I cannot get magnets, put it on this vehicle, because that means that I can pull that magnet, put it in another vehicle, and that's not allowed. They have to be permanent, affixed to it. So it could be painted on, or it could be those vinyl stickers that get placed on the vehicle. Okay. The scrap tire transporter decal is not transferable from one vehicle to another. What does that mean? What that means is that I cannot, let's say I start my business and I have 2020 Ford F-150s. Again, I'm not promoting Ford F-150s. Let's just say I have a Ford F-150 of 2020. Business is doing good, or my business is growing, or it's just time. So I decide to buy me a 2024 Toyota Tundra. Again, I am not promoting Toyota, but let's say I decide to go to a 2024 Toyota Tundra. I cannot take my license number and decal from my Ford F-150 and put it on my Tundra. I have to go to the city and I have to submit a new application for that scrap tire unit. Now, if you're fortunate to have several vehicles, then each vehicle has to have its own scrap tire permit in a separate application for each one must be submitted. Okay. Here, we're going to stop for some questions again that we most commonly have. So Annika will be asking the questions we commonly get.
Do tires need to be marked if they are picked up by the recycler or generator?
So if they're being picked up by the recycler generator, that means it's one of our big, three that we know of. I believe there's another one that I was just recently made familiar, but if they're being picked up from Liberty, right now they do have to be marked. However, we are trying to see that because that's the final destination. And what we're trying to do is make sure the tires make it to the final destination. If we know they are the final where they're, if we know that's your scrap tire generator or recycling facility, we are trying to get authority so that you don't have to mark the tires when they're going to them. But we have to make sure that you have the documentation, but we will let you know. We would let you know if that changes. We would also invite you to take look at DallasCityHall.com, our consumer protection scrap tire page, because we will put those updates on there if we can get an exception to that.
If I take my own tires from my business that are scrap tires to the recycler, do I need to mark the tires and do I need a transporter decal?
So if you're transporting your own tires, Sonicum, you do need to mark each one of your tires, because I don't want you to stop anywhere and illegally dump it. Not saying that that's what you're doing, Annika, but we want to be safe. The other thing is, because you're transporting the tires, you will need to have a transporter license on that vehicle and a decal, right? In addition to that, you have to have the manifest. So you'll have to generate your manifest for your business, signing off that you're taking them and that you're the transporter you're taking them. And you have to have that from the recycling facility or the final destination. And you have to take it back to the office and make sure it's stored at least for 3 years.
If I have a tire that has expired, are those considered scrap tires?
If it's expired, there's an expiration date for everything, right, guys? So the tire is expired. That means that someone, either the manufacturer, due to maybe federal, state, or whatever regulations, have decided that that tire may it not be any good after that date. So if the tire is not good after that date, it can potentially be considered a scrap tire.
If I have a truck and a trailer that transports tires, do I register the truck license plate number or the trailer license plate number?
That's a good question, and it really depends on how you're going to be using that trailer. If you're always going to attach the trailer, then you can get it on the trailer and you'd be okay. But if occasions you leave the trailer at home and you only use the truck to transport, then you need it on the truck itself. So it just depends on how you decide to do your business operation. We'll be happy to give you, for the right fee, two different permits to avoid that confusion for you.
How do I get the manifest back from the recycler or generator once they've taken the tires to the final destination?
So this is where your transporter and the fact that you use a licensed transporter comes into play. That transporter should be providing you copies, or you should be asking them for copies of it. That copy can either be on paper or it could be an electronic copy that you can see that's been signed, unaltered. What I mean by unaltered, well, if you can see that you send 50 tires, but Liberty says they only received 30, and you see somebody change that 30 to a 50, I would question it, right? Because who changed that? But you can get that electronically via email. A photo would be sufficient, or a copy. How you store it is completely up to you, as long as you make it available to us. So you want to create, if you want to store it electronically on the cloud, on a USB drive, on your hard drive, anywhere, as long as it's accessible for 3 years when we come and ask you for it, or if an officer or law enforcement agency asks you for it. Okay, so I'm gonna backtrack a couple of things to see if there's any other questions that I normally remember. For the tire markers, I always get asked, Jose, if I use the brand new, that's not a contrasting color. That is correct, but you can circle it or underline it with the marker to make it easier for you. The same thing, where's my license number, would it change? It would not change at all. The training, yes, the training is required. Yes, every manager, every supervisor, everyone you employ has to take it. In fact, let's say, you know, I know I work with Anna, and Annika's a supervisor, but I'm the manager, but sometimes Annika knows a little bit more what's going on than I do. So let's say Annika decides to fire me as the manager, which she can do, but let's just say she does. So Annika fires me and I get replaced by a new manager. Well, that new manager has to take this training within 30 days of being hired, or that person in control who we're going to leave in charge within 30 days of they've taken that job, they have to take this training. Why is that, Jose? Why do we have to? Why do they have to? Because these are the persons running your shop. And if they're not complying with the city ordinance and we have to issue a notice of violation or a ticket, the excuse we always get is we did not know, or the owner or the boss didn't tell us we have to do that. And then when we ask them for a driver's license or identification to issue them that license, usually it issues some kind of verbal confrontation, denial, or locking of the doors and kicking us out. And of course, once you kick us out and you're not there, you're refusing that inspection. And you're refusing to follow the city ordinance. So that happens, we don't want to revoke your license. We want everybody to understand the role and understand the risk. Jose, who would get the tickets? Well, we normally will issue the notice of violation. We're there, and we'll have the owner, manager, person in control, supervisor at the shop sign for it. And so it is their responsibility to get it to you. As long as we issue that notice, we are good. Who will get the ticket? Anyone can get the ticket that's in person and control doing it. So if I show up and all the managers, everybody's gone, and I show up there and I see some grave violations, and poor Jose is the only one there working, and I don't know nothing, but I'm the one there, then I would get the ticket because I'm the one there while the business is committing the violations, right? My inspectors have also been instructed, if that happens, locate the owner or the manager and write them a citation also, because technically, everybody who's working there is violating the city code. So anyone there everyone can get a citation. Very rarely do we give everyone a citation. We normally want to issue the citation or the notice to the person in control, the manager, the owner, or the supervisor of a business. Okay. We're gonna go, I'm gonna take time. Code compliance does not enforce this section of the code, but I want you to be aware of the code. This really applies to anyone who's transporting tires. Okay, so what it is I'm gonna leave this slide a little bit after I read it, so you can understand it a little bit better. A vehicle may be impounded when the officer arrests a person for a violation of section 1862. Normally, when I read this, people say, what? What do you mean by arrest? What's going on? Well, a lot of our chapter 18 is based on state law that actually criminalizes the way we deal with scrap tires and tires together. And they're actually, some of them are actually considered state jail felonies. So what does that mean for everyone? Is that you can actually be arrested by a law enforcement agency for violating the code, the state code. And in our case, in the city, our city marshals or Dallas police may arrest somebody for violating the city code. Now, if you happen to be driving a vehicle with many transporting scrap tires and you're violating this code, and they find you're violating the code, and they pull you over and you're arrested, the vehicle may be impounded and it must be kept at a city pound location until application for redemption is made by the vehicle owner or the owner's authorized agent. So it'll be at the pound until somebody comes gets it and can provide us ownership. The vehicle impounded will release to the vehicle owner or the owner's authorized agent after the following has happened. The city has removed all illegally scrapped tires and stored or disposed of them in a manner prescribed by the director. So we have to remove all the tires and we have to dispose of them. The vehicle owner or the owner's authorized agent has paid the following fees for the city: the towing fee for the vehicle, the notification, impoundment, and storage fees required under a different city code, which is 28-4, for the impoundment of vehicle, and a disposal fee of $2.50 for each tire removed from the impounded vehicle. Now, how does this roll out play? Well, guys, if you're pulled over and you have a semi or you have a box truck or a trailer you're pulling and you got a couple hundred tires in the back, you're not going to be able to impound go pull it out that same day most of the time because we have to make arrangements to dispose of that tire. So if it takes us 2 or 3 days to dispose of those tires, because we don't necessarily have a place where we just go and dump the tires, because then if we do, we're committing or violating city code. And if we have too many tires, then we can be a generator and we're violating not only city but state law. So the tires will stay on that trailer until we can dispose of them correctly. So if it takes a day or 2 or 3, you will be responsible for those additional storage fees and the disposal cost of the tire at $2.50 a piece. Now, this is for the impoundment of vehicles. Also want to take everything we discussed before about tires. Our city marshals can actually, and our Dallas police can also, and the city marshal mostly is the one that helps us enforce chapter 18 and chapter 19. So while we sometimes issue you a notice of violation for a violation of the city code, our city marshals is not required to issue a notice. They are authorized to issue a citation right off the bat. Technically, code compliance can issue a ticket right off the bat, but we choose to try to work with you by giving you a notice. But again, sometimes we will issue a citation right off the bat, depending on the severity of the issue. Okay? And when we issue you a notice of violation, the notice of violation we issue you is usually good for 1 year. So if we go out there and give you a notice of violation for one thing and you fix it and we come back a month later and you're doing it again, we'll give you a ticket after that. And remember, if we see that's what you're doing, we can see about possible revocation or denial of future licenses. Again, I spend a little bit more time with this because I want you to read what the code says to understand that somebody transporting those tires could be arrested. Same thing, if you're illegally dumping the tires, you could be arrested, right? Many other reasons. Unauthorized disposal of tires. Basically, Chapter 18, Section 64 states that a tires must be disposed at the following locations. So basically, our residents have to dispose of a tire at a landfill, right? Or at a tire recycling facility or tire disposal facility. So all you tire shops out there and my transporters, you have to take all your tires to a tire recycling facility or your tire disposal facility. Not your nearest park, not your nearest trash can or dumpster, not your nearest state park, not your nearest roadway, not your nearest alley, not your nearest kind of get where I'm going with this. Not saying that all my licensed transporters are doing this or not, but that's why the ordinance is in effect, so that doesn't happen. When you're a transporter, all it says if you transport tires through the city of Dallas, so that means if you have an office in Garland, and that's where your place is, and that's where you pick up all tires in Garland, but you drive through Dallas, you need to register with the city as a transporter as well, because the last thing we want to do is somebody driving to Dallas and stopping saying, it's too far to Midlothian. I'll just stop here and I'll dump the tires in Dallas. So if anybody who transports tires in Dallas needs to get that license. Now, if you don't want to get the license as a transporter in Dallas, then go around the city of Dallas. Don't cut through the city of Dallas, right? Because that is the requirement for the city of Dallas. Now, usually when I talk about this, people ask me this question, Jose. Um, it always comes up with disposal. Jose, this person comes to my shop. They want to buy 4 tires or 1 tire, 2 tires, and I want to charge them the disposal fee. And say, I don't want to charge the disposal. I'll take the tire. Remember, guys, you are the tire experts. So if you're saying that tire is no longer can be used for its intended use because there's no life left on it, right? Or it's complete in disrepair, it is your responsibility to take that tire and dispose of it correctly. What many businesses have done is they include the recycling fee and the price up front. They collect the fees up front before they even make that additional change to prevent them from taking the tire. But Jose, their tires are still good. They're still good used tires. Can they take those good used tires? Yes, if the tire is good and it's used, and it can still be used, and they want to save it for an emergency or later, they can do that. But then when they say, where can we dispose of it? Well, now they can dispose of that used tire at the city landfill. A resident's allowed, it fluctuates sometimes 4 to 6 tires a year with proof of residency. A resident can dispose of the tire at the landfill. They can also bring it to a tire shop, or a tire shop may charge them a disposal fee to do away with those used tires. Remember, once they're not any good anymore, they're considered scrap tires, so you can charge that disposal fee. The state and city regulations allow you to charge that disposal fee. It's actually a requirement by the state, so you can do away with the cost or do away with some of the costs, if not all the costs that it costs you to dispose of those tires. Okay, required inspections. So our city code requires that we conduct a regular inspection at least once per year. At least once per year, we have to conduct an inspection of every tire business. Keyword once, at least, at least, at least. Sometimes we show up and people say, Jose, y'all were here 2 months ago. What are you doing here again? You're harassing me. Or you were here 3 months ago and you're harassing me. You were here a month ago and then you came back a month later and a month later. Why are you here 3 times or 4 times in a year? You're harassing me. The answer usually is, believe it or not, everyone, is because you fix the violation, then you go back in violation. You fix the violation and you go back in violation. That's why we made some changes to the laws and the ordinance, right? Because now we're not going to condone that type of action and activity. If you continue to violate the code after you fixed it and you continue, we are going to see about revocation or suspension of the license. We are going to follow through with those procedures. Why? Because we have to use our city resources to address other issues, and we're having to come over and over again because a business decides not to follow the rules, then we need to hold that business accountable. Okay? A comprehensive inspection is conducted at time of license delivery. So when we deliver your license, we will conduct that inspection. Remember what I said earlier is we have 30 days to do it, but we normally would do it within 10 business days. Within 10 business, we'll deliver the license. When the tire business is inspected and a violation of this article or any other city ordinance or state or federal laws applicable to the tire business found, the tire business will, after the expiration of any time limit for compliance given, basically what it says, guys, we find an issue. We may give you a notice of violation. We'll give you time to fix that issue. If upon re-inspect that issue remains, we will give you a citation. Okay. And we will keep coming back to ensure that you fix the violation. Jose, how is that possible? Well, I'm gonna tell you what happens a lot of times. And this happens a lot more than one I see. So when people apply, I've gone out there 2 days after I received the application. I've gone out there 10 days after I received the application, or 11 days because I was a little behind, or even 12 days because I got a little further behind. And I issue that application and I do a walkthrough. What do you know? Pristine, perfect. Great, I'm happy. So I didn't find any violations, right? I leave, but I come back 2 days later, or a week later, or a month later, and now you have violations. And you continue to have those violations. Why? Because when some of the business know we're coming, they clean up, they do everything right, and as soon as they get their license, I say revert to old ways or old habits, which we shouldn't be doing. We should be operating like many of our businesses do. We have many businesses, the way we go day one, we go day 30th, 100, 200, or 300, doesn't matter. They're always in tip-top shape. And basically what I said earlier, we want every business to be successful. We want to hold every business to the same standard. And we expect that if you want to continue to do business in the city of Dallas, you follow all city rules and regulations as well. Now, a penalty. So what do you mean by penalty, Jose? Basically, is if you violate the city code, how much are the tickets? What can they be? Well, the tickets can be under this section of the code, chapter 18, can be punished by a fine of not less than $500 or more than 2,000. That means our tickets can start off as little as 500 to up to 2,000, and depending on the violation you're violating. I think the average cost of the tickets right now, it's $700. Normally, we give you a ticket and you pay it and you continue the violation, and we give you another one. We have seen where they'll charge you double of the first one. Then you get a third one, you get a $2,000 fine. Then if you've been convicted or you pay the tickets or we seem as necessary, we begin revocation process. And again, please remember, if we revoke your permit, what does that mean? That means I cannot get another license for a year. And the thing about this is that each day you're in violation, we can give you a separate ticket. So if you're violating 5 provisions of the code, I can write you 5 different tickets every day. But I can tell you how we will handle this is based on a case by case basis. So we go out there and you're working on it and you make great progress, we may give you an extension. But if we go out there and we gave you a ticket and come back a couple days later and you've done nothing, we're going to issue a second citation. Okay. Now, also according to the code, each tire transport in violation of that constitutes a separate offense. So if you're illegally transporting 500 tires, technically you can get 500 tickets, one for each tire, because each tire is a violation. If you're storing a tire incorrectly and you got 500 or 200 stored tires incorrectly at your business, technically we can give you a ticket for each tire, right? Again, those are drastic situations, drastic measures. We hope that if we give you a notice of violation, you'll comply within the parameters of that time frame to get it corrected. If not, we will issue some citations, okay? And there's all other legal action that may take place as well. Okay, here's we're gonna stop for some questions. Normally in this issue, I do get asked the question, ticket, who would get the ticket, Jose? Well, the person who will get the ticket would be whoever's at the time of our inspection, they're conducting the business. Sometimes if I contact the owner says they can be there in 5 or 10 or 15 minutes, we'll wait. But I really cannot wait more than 15 minutes for someone to get to the site because usually we have other businesses and licenses we need to get to. Okay, the required inspections, I usually get a question, Jose. How many times do you really actually come out? It really depends on how the business operations are there. Sometimes businesses, all it takes is 1 year because we know they're operating well, and when we drop by, we see you. Sometimes we're just driving by and we can see whether you're operating correctly, so we don't even stop. Um, if you have a violation, we have to reinspect. We'll come out as long as we can work with you to get that corrected. Again, and if we get a complaint and somebody files a complaint, whether it's valid or not, we'll come out there to verify whether it's valid or not. And the tires again, can they take used tires? Yes, your customer can take their used tires with them. But you have to advise them that if they dispose them, they have to do it. Jose, what if they don't want to leave the tire? It's bad tire and they don't want to pay the recycling fee. That's where you have to do a business decision. Do you want to do business with them or not? The ordinance and the state allows you to, it requires you to take a recycling fee. So if you don't, and that tire ends up being illegally dumped because you did take it off and you did possess that tire, you may risk violating state or city ordinances. Okay. The accumulation of tires. So if you notice on most of our ordinances, we talked about used, but mostly scrap tires. Chapter 19 actually covers the definition of all tires. It's a motorcycle tire, automobile tire, tractor, trailer, tractor, or other vehicle tire. Jose, why is that important? Because many times we've gone out to places and people said, Jose, that's not a tire, that's a tow tire or my tractor tire. Well, that's on my trailer, that's not a vehicle. I can tell you that based on our definition, it's a tire. So it'll be considered a tire. A roof, it also says that a roof structure is required. This is where it says one or more new use or are stored or allowed to accumulate shall be keep the tires on their roof structure on the premise. Basically, what this ordinance does, it also tells you the other one covered scrap tires and some used, but this one is telling you that all tires, basically new use or old tires, must be kept in the same manner. Again, this ordinance here has been like this for a very long time prior to the one in 2005. But for some reason, when I say we, is us as the city, all our business in the city, decide not to comply with the ordinance. And a lot of stuff we've been getting away with for a while. So what I say with all due respect to everyone, let's be grateful we got away with it. But if we have these issues, let's go ahead and get them corrected and not find offense to the inspectors when they actually show up and issue a citation for any of these violations. Okay, here it goes. This one also discusses the inspections, investigation, and enforcement. This gets a little bit more detail. We'll tell you the director, which is the director, the health officer, the environmental health officer, or any authorized agent or representative, any police officer, code enforcement officer, or any other person designated by the city council or city manager have the authority and responsibility to conduct inspections, investigation, and enforcement activities. This is also where it gets the penalty for 500 or 2,000 $2,000, and you don't have to have a culpable mental state. That means you don't have to say, "Oh, I didn't know." Basically says that ignorance is not an excuse. I am ignorant to a lot of things. I got a lot of things to learn, and I'm not aware. But just because I'm not aware of it doesn't mean I'm doing right or not doing wrong. So please understand that the excuse of "I did not know" may not get you too far in some cases, and also that If we write you a ticket for 19, does not mean we cannot write you for 18 and vice versa. We'll say, what do you mean by that? Well, I go to your location and you're storing used tires or scrap tires not correctly. I can write you a ticket for that, but I see the new tires. Well, chapter 18 doesn't cover new tires. So I may write you a ticket for 18 for the used and the scrap tires, but I'm gonna write you 19 for the new tires. Um, why is that important, Jose? Because then I go to court and the guy and when I'm at the witness stand or the other person's a witness say, Your Honor, he wrote me a ticket for new tires. All they were is new tires. Here's the pictures of all the new tires. You mean to tell me that was new? Yeah, that was new. That was new. That was new. It's not scrapped. It's not used. So to alleviate that, you may get a ticket for both to remove that excuse because either way it goes, they all have to be stored in the correct manner. Okay, long term. So what do you mean long term? What does this mean for us? Well, what we want to do is we want to empower business owners with the education knowledge to maintain compliance for the business. So we want to take out the sentence that I did not know. We didn't know, right? I didn't know that was a regulation because we want to show you what the regulations are. We want to guide you on how to find those regulations. So when we go out there, we don't find a violation. We find everything good. And if we find something, hopefully it's something minor that you can remedy, maybe that same day or within hours, right? Or within a day or two. That's what we want to be able to do. We want to reduce illegal dump tires within the city of Dallas. That's a big goal. I know it's not impossible, but it's going to be hard. But we need your helps, and by following these rules and regulations, hopefully it lowers the amount of illegally dumped tires. We want a positive environmental impact by reducing breeding of mosquitoes. So it has a big environmental impact. We don't need mosquitoes. We don't need that. And tires have been proven that tires are one of their favorite breeding grounds for mosquitoes. So I'm also a licensed mosquito inspector. So I'm also licensed to abate mosquitoes, to treat mosquitoes, to spray for mosquitoes. So I can tell you that yes, tires is a great place for mosquitoes to breed. And they love tires for some reason. And that's mainly because a little bit of water, along with a lot of trash and debris, it's good. It's good for that to happen. So we try to keep that from happening by preventing the mosquito breeding. Any now again with questions? Normally, by this time, I've done a good job. Hopefully, I feel I have, where I kind of gave you scenarios as long as we did the presentation, but some commonly asked questions and comments and stuff. But the one that usually comes to here, Jose, are you going to give me tickets every time? I'm going to tell you the answer is it really depends on the nature and severity of your offense and how willingly you're working with us to abate those violations. At the end of the day, there's so much that only I can do before I have to write the citation. At the end of the day, the citation is meant to be a tool to help gain compliance. And it's not a tool being used to punish, it's a tool used to gain compliance, and we use it as a last resort when we are seeing no results at the property. Okay. So the online demonstration process, before we do that, what I am going to do is I'm going to share with you our Dallas City Hall website. That's the key on how to get everything. Everybody's familiar with Google. If you choose to use Yahoo, something else, that's perfectly fine. I'm just using Google again. I'm not encouraging you to use Google or patronizing Google in any way. But the easiest way is to go to DallasCityHall.com. You can Google Dallas City Hall or DallasCityHall.com, and it will take you straight to our website. Here on our website, where you see select language, our website's in many languages. So you feel more comfortable with Greek, Korean, hope I pronounce it right, Cebuano. You can change the language to better fit the needs of your team members. But when you're here, the easiest way to find the Dallas City Code is to hit this arrow of government. Again, you can always backtrack on this presentation if it's recorded. So if you need to backtrack to do it as I'm doing it here, you can do so. You can go here, hit City Hall resources, hit city codes. Once you're in city codes, you would click volume 1 through 3. Once you're here, it'll take you to American Legal. Once you're American Legal, you're going to hit the drop key for City of Dallas, Texas Code of Ordinances. Once you go there, you're going to click on volume 1. In volume 1, you can just scroll. You'll see chapter 18. Down here, you see chapter 19. Chapter 18, when you hit this little arrow, it'll give you all the articles. You remember from the first couple of slides, it was tires. So there you go, tires. You just click it, and it takes you to the city ordinance. We mostly spend today talking about scrap tires, all the definition, everything that has to do. As you can see, it's very lengthy. So instead of me sitting here going line by line for every single one, some of it was summarized for to make it easier for me to show you what it meant. But here's everything. So I would encourage you all to please visit this website so that you can see what the ordinances are, so you can see everything in here. We focus a lot of the new changes, but there's other things you must do. But please visit our website. So there it is, required inspections, penalties. Everything's on here on our website. Again, if you need to learn how to get to this again, just rewind the video and you'll be able to see where we're at in the Dallas City Code. Okay, that's the same thing works with chapter 19. You just click chapter 19, health and sanitation. If you recall, it was section 19-34, which section 19-34 is going to be under general accumulation of tires. You can also do a search here by adding the keyword tires. And normally when you do that, it takes your Article 4, everything about tires, it pulls it up. So you can also do tires there. And all the ordinances, sections of the ordinance where a tire is there, you can see along with everything else about being your vehicle booted. But that's where you can find the Dallas City codes. Now, the next question is, Jose, how do we find your website? Again, we would go to dallascityhall.com. When you're here, if you up here, you see departments, you will hit code compliance, and it will take you to the code compliance page. You will probably see a link that says apply for a permit, license, or registration. You'll click there and it'll take you on how to apply for one of our license. But we hope to have a box, just like one that says neighborhood code in the community. You'll see a box that will say consumer protection. Once you click that box that says consumer protection, it will take you to our webpage. Right now, it's located under specialty units, which would be difficult to find. But once you hit the consumer protection website, it's going to take you to a page like this. We are working on getting this updated, so this is how it is right now, but it will be changing, and hopefully we hope to have these changes done. You'll see the number for building inspections, so you can call them with any questions. We have their information here. We'll have our contact information. But what we're going to do is we're going to list every license we have here. It's also going to be a section for scrap tire. When you click the scrap tire, it'll take you to the scrap tire page. It'll have a link for all the trainings that you have to do. We'll also include additional videos of what we look for in inspection, frequently asked questions and answers. You'll have a lot more information there. In every one of our license page, once it's up and running, you'll be able to click a link that'll say apply for the license. When you apply for the license, it will take you to our website so that you may apply for a license. Our apply for license page will look like this. You will click log in, right? And when you click log in, It would ask you, right now, this is my Lincoln, but if you're not a member, it will look like this, where it would ask you for your first name, last name, your email, and your phone number, and you can sign up. Once you sign up, it would take you, you sign in. Okay, once you sign into the website, it would take you here. Here we identify on how you apply. It tells you what our website is for. It takes you a link to our FAQs. It also gives us your contact number. You can reach us. It tells you the email addresses you can email us. So you can email us at consumerprotection@dallas.gov. We will also send you emails from any address from dallas.gov. Things you need to know. Here it tells you how to apply for the license or step-by-step instruction. So if you're new to the website and you want to register a location, you would click the Add Location button. You would select, once you get here, you enter your address. My office is 320 East Jefferson. Sorry, it did not add the information too fast. So it'll come up, you select your address, take you there, make sure it's the right one. You enter your unit number or your suite number, the name of your business, okay? And you add the address. If you have multiple business, I will tell you add all the addresses, okay? Then what you do once you're here, um, I'll take you, however, if you're a transporter and you're not in this, or a mobile vehicle tire repair business and you're not in the city of Dallas, then what you simply do is the following. You just click my locations outside the city of Dallas. And when you do that, it'll populate the 320 East Jefferson address automatically. You can still type in your suite number, the name of your business, but down here you would type in your address. In this case, I'm on 1234 Street in, let's say, Garland, Texas. My zip code and the suite, right? You can put street, suite 100, whatever your address is, and you add that address. Same thing. Once you finish that and you're ready to apply, because you already created the locations, you hit apply for a license. Here's where you see the different license types you'll see, but depending, if you're a transporter, you would click here. If you're a mobile tire repair decal, you would click here. I do apologize for the photo. It was supposed to be someone on the roadway, but it got mixed up with our electronic, but we'll get that fixed. So you'll see mobile tire repair decal or scrap tire. Most of our tire businesses will click here. Once you click here, you just simply follow the instructions by filling out all the information. You're here, right? You'll click the address or the business you're trying to register. Remember, you have multiple businesses, your queue will look like this. If you only have one business, you would only see one location. You simply pick it and scroll down and hit next, and it will tell you to the application. You hit add business owner, you type in the owner's name, phone number, street, mailing address, home mailing address. The next tab is going to be the owner. There's going to be a tab where you enter your information of who's applying, along with your driver's license number information, a page where you would add the documents. So I would encourage you to take pictures of your CO, your driver's license, whatever you need to include, take a picture of it. So when you register, you just upload those pictures. Once you upload, you're going to have a box that says finish. And it's going to tell you, now that you're finished your application, go make the payment. How do I make the payment? Then after you're all said and done, and you completed all your application, you want to make a payment, you hit make a payment. It will take you to our payment page. We currently take Visa, MasterCard, or Discovery only. Visa, MasterCard, Discovery. You would select, you would have a list of all your locations. If it's one, multiple, you can click them all at the same time and then proceed to pay. And that's where you will enter your information. You will see pop-up boxes reminding you of that you had to include certain documentation, but also most importantly, letting you know that once you make the payment, that fee is not refundable and not transferable. But please make sure you got everything correctly. Once you do that and you proceed your payment, you'll get an email telling you the payment was submitted and that your application was submitted. You will also get an email from us telling you when your application is in review. You'll also get an email letting you know if we need additional information. You will also get an email letting you know if it's denied or approved. If it's approved or denied, if it's denied, it'll tell you why you were denied. If it's approved, it will tell you that it's been approved. If we need more info, it'll tell you what information we're needing. So you can go in there and correct it. And once it's approved, you'll get an email telling you it's approved and that somebody will be out to deliver your license to you. And it can be within those 30 days, but again, within 10 days. That is the easiest way to register. Okay. And it'll only be online. Again, if you have any questions for us, you can always call us at 214-948-5353. 214-948-5353. I'm going to pause here for about 1 minute. We're done with the presentation pretty much. If you want to get credit for it for right now, go ahead and scan this code with your phone and it'll take you to the quiz. So you can take that quiz and answer those questions. Once you answer those questions, it will give you the answers that you need. If you fail it the first time, it'll go over what the answers look like. The quiz, I'm going to show you, the quiz is usually 12 questions with the answers at the end that you can ask with requesting your contact information, your name and phone number so we can get you your certificate. So please do so. At the end of that, we will usually email your certificate within 3 business days. But if you want to apply that same day, simply call us or let us know. Or when you submit your application, we can also look it up to see if you took that training. We will have access to that. So we normally can know, usually about a minute after after you take the training, we can see your name on the list on a report that the training has been completed. So please take that quiz. If you fail, please take it again until you get a 70. The good thing about the quiz is that if you fail, it will show you what the correct answers are so you can do better on your second attempt.
On the previous presentations, people have asked that there's a couple of people all sitting around the computer watching this presentation together. In order for all of you to get credit, each one of you has to scan the QR code and take the quiz in your own name. You can all register them under the same email address, but it has to have each person's name on that quiz result in order for that person to get credit.
This concludes the training for today. However, we do have an additional QR code for an evaluation. If you want to give us feedback, what do you think we can do to improve it? What additional information? We will look at it, review it, and take it into great consideration because we do need feedback from you as the businesses and we value your feedback. Again, if you have any questions for us, you can reach out to us via email at consumerprotection@dallascityhall.com. Dallas, sorry about that, is consumerprotection@dallas.gov, consumerprotection@dallas.gov, or by phone at 214-948-5353. 214-948-5353. Thank you all for your time and attendance. And again, please reach out to us if you have any questions. The evaluation is not mandatory, but the quiz is. Again, you can always rewind to take a look at the quiz QR code again, or if you want to review any of this information.